reminding ourselves that Melanie Shaw is still in prison. Melanie Shaw, of course, the very brave lady, the whistleblower, child abuse whistleblower from Beechwood Children's Home in Nottingham, who dared to speak out about the abuse of children. She talked about children being brutalised at the Beechwood home, in the Beechwood home. She also maintains that children were murdered. She talks about links between the Nottingham children's homes where abuse was taking place and London, and in particular there is mention of political circles. Where is Melanie? Well, she's been brutalised in UK prisons. She's been in now nearly 22 months, I think it is. She spent at least 18, possibly 19 months of that time in solitary confinement. And remember that solitary confinement is defined as torture by the United Nations. So this is the state of the country under Conservative Theresa May, David Cameron exactly the same. One rule for nations overseas, totally different rule for people in UK, particularly if they dare start to point a finger at the British government and its cosy relationship with child abuse. Now, luckily, some very good people have been staying on the case with Melanie, and a number of letters have been sent out. This one here is to David Gork MP at the Ministry of Justice. The letter says, I'm still waiting for a response to my letter to you of the 3rd of January regarding Melanie's mistreatment by the UK justice system. In case it's gone astray, a copy is enclosed. Also enclosed is an open letter to Luke Sargent, Director of Women's Prisons, disputing the application of the Data Protection Act in a manner which challenges our basic freedoms under the common law. I trust I will now finally receive answers to the questions which I repeatedly posed without satisfaction to members of the government and the prison service. I would add that it is difficult to give any credit to the assurances of Melanie's safety and good health when she emerged from a previous imprisonment traumatised and on crutches after similar assurances had been given. So really excellent letter from this particular lady. And of course, the point she's making so pertinent, Mike, that when you ask questions of the British government, they simply don't bother to reply, and they certainly don't tell the truth. Let's have a look at this one. We'll just give you a flavour of this. This is basically part of a letter that's actually been sent through to Luke Sargent, the Director of Women's Prisons, but in it there's detail of the treatment of Melanie, the fact that she's been traumatised. She is still unaware of the exact charges that she's in prison for. She has no idea of her release date. So if you freeze that particular frame, you can read through the detail on that. And significantly, this letter moves on to the subject of common law. Under the common law, everyone is entitled to a public trial before a jury of their peers, with the offence for which they're being tried clearly stated. Only then can justice be seen to be done. Here's the key parts. Melanie was tried in secret, without a jury, and I understand without even being present in court herself. This was the miracle, Mike, of the Skype link, which unfortunately failed at the particular points that Melanie was starting to defend herself with some success. The precise nature of the crime for which she has been imprisoned for some 20 months, much of that time in solitary confinement, has never been made public, so that it is impossible to compare the sentence she's been given with those meted out to others for similar offences. The information I have repeatedly requested relates not merely to Melanie's case, therefore, but to the basic conduct of justice in this country, and to plead that such matters fall under the remit of the Data Protection Act undermines confidence in the justice system itself. Are we now to be subjected to lettres de cachet by order of the executive? Isn't it fascinating that step by step, members of the public are starting to identify that what is now forming in the United Kingdom is a fascist state, a communitarian state. And of course, we were talking last week about Theresa May's fusion initiative, and pointing out the similarities with certain parts of it to effectively Hitler's enabling act. So serious stuff. If you want to have a look at the flippancy of the reply that comes back from the other side, apologise that this image is a little bit dark. It says, "Thank you for your letter addressed to Right Honourable Amber Rudd MP, dated the 12th of March 2018, regarding Melanie Shaw. As I am the Director of Women's Prisons, your letter has been forwarded to my office for response. As stated in my previous letters to yourself, due to the Data Protection Act, I am unable to confirm or discuss any details that relate to any person who may reside within any of the establishments that are within my remit." There's the gulag, Mike.
That is a spectacular perversion of the intent of the Data Protection Act. I can't put it any other way. The Data Protection Act is there to protect people's data. It's not there to place political prisoners behind.
Yeah.
So,
well, we assume it was, but of course, who was the Labour MP? Tony Blair. Tony Blair. How could I forget Tony Blair, who said that one of his biggest regrets was the Freedom of Information Act, and of
yes.
course that would be true because they're frightened of the truth coming to the surface.
Yes. Okay. Well, let's move on to